All right, it looks like we got a packed house, so we can get started. Again, this is the How Does Drone Accuracy Compare to Standard Aerial Mapping webinar for Identified Technologies. Thank you all very much for joining us. My name is Barry Rapkin. I am the Chief Marketing Officer for Identified Technologies. My background, I started and sold to tech companies. I worked for Heinz on the Arida brand in brand management and innovation. And I'm a graduate of the Carnegie Mellon University Tepper School of Business. Our company has been featured by TEDx, NBC, CNN, Inc., Pittsburgh Business Times, UAS Magazine, TechCrunch, South by Southwest, and many more respected publications. My background is not in robotics, it's not in drones, but it is in technology. And what really attracted me to this company was just how innovative and how I felt ahead of its time our technology really is. And I'm excited to be able to talk to you a little bit about our capabilities and more importantly, what they can offer your businesses. So just to take you through the agenda for the day, I'm going to go quickly through the basics everyone should know about drones. If you've sat in on past webinars, this will be familiar to you. Then we'll go through how drones are benefiting your specific industry. And then we get to the meat of it, this case study on how drone accuracy compares to standard aerial mapping. And from there, we're going to open it up for audience Q&A. All questions are fair game. And finish off with a special limited time offer only for our live attendees. So with that, we'll dive on in. And for just real quick, for Q&A, feel free to just start filling in those now. If you go on your screen towards the sort of top right middle, there'll be a Q&A button and you can enter your questions there. Just enter them now and then we'll start answering them at the end of the presentation. So for what everyone should know about drones, a lot of people are familiar with RC planes and helicopters. The technology is many decades old, as you can tell from that picture, which is definitely from the 80s, given the pants and hair. And honestly, a lot of the technology hasn't changed that much. But there have been a few really intense innovations that have helped drones become so popular as they are today. Now, what drones used to be like, what the experience for drones was for most people was this. You would shell out the money for one, you'd crash it promptly, and not only are you're out the money, but you're not feeling great about your experience. You're not having a lot of fun with it. So the reason that there is such a sudden, massive interest in drones is a few very specific advances in the technology. And these come from a combination of government and private sector innovations. So NASA has been working for decades on flight controllers to do a better job guiding and steering the drones. The United States Navy has worked on GPS for years. And although many of us now have GPSs in our cars or even in our phones, it wasn't long ago before these things either didn't exist at all or were massive things you can never fit in a small portable aircraft. You also have miniaturized sensors, accelerometers, gyroscopes that can let your electronic devices know exactly where they are at any given moment, and super compact, super high resolution digital cameras. Everything from GoPros to thermal cameras, a whole range of options that simply did not exist until very recently. So all these have combined with model aircrafts to give us the technology that has really made the industry take off. Now, drone can mean a lot of things. There's a massive range, everything from an almost $100 million drone like Northrop Grumman's Global Hawk that weighs over 32,000 pounds and can fly at 357 miles per hour, to a very light hobbyist version, a $1,000 DJI Phantom that'll let you snap some photos, and it's kind of a fun toy. So when people say drone, that's a very wide umbrella. And people are using a range of drones for new applications that weren't really possible before. Real estate, sports, movies, TV, and commercials are all attracting applications that before really wouldn't have been realistic from a cost perspective. You don't want to have to charter a plane or a helicopter just to get one little aerial photo. But if you can just send up, again, your $1,000 drone, it may be very worthwhile. Now, even beyond photos, you can now use drones to collect data. Not only just an overhead aerial photo, but actual mapping data, 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional. And the problem in the past has been, if you want to try to collect that yourself, you'd have to do it manually. And that means that you have to try to keep the drone at the same height the whole time, that you have to follow the exact same path the whole time. And it's very difficult for a human to replicate that level of consistency and accuracy. But recently, leaps forward in some of the technology I discussed earlier, such as flight controller software, has made it possible to automatically calculate and pre-program flights. So you choose the perimeter of the area that you want surveyed, and our technology will actually fill in that area automatically with a lawnmower pattern. So the drone will control its own height and elevation, control its speed and placement, and fly the lawnmower pattern, collecting the data across the whole path, capturing the mapping data for you and doing it the same way, same path every time. Now, drones are being used in many different industries today, in agriculture, in construction, for landfills, mining, oil and gas, mapping, and surveying. And within those, there's a lot of different maps and different data that people are asking for. We're offering not just photos or video, but surveying and mapping for 2D distance measurements, so you can easily capture that with overhead data. 3D volumetric analysis, which we found is particularly useful in earth-moving projects, in landfills, in mining, so you know what your aggregate piles are, or maybe how much longer you have to go with a project, or even if you're contrasting two different teams or two different work sites, you can actually see how their progress compares day to day and benchmark different teams against each other. We can capture 3D point clouds, contour line maps, digital surface models or DSMs, orthomosaic overlays. You can use our aerial mapping to look at site risk prevention and response, look for signs of either damage or potential damage on things like pipelines or infrastructure to catch problems before they become real problems. And you can also use it to overlay an as-built versus as planned. So you can do that to either make sure the progress is going on track, to forecast how much longer remains in the project, or just to share it between your team members or your customers so they can securely follow the progress without actually getting on a plane and flying out there. I was recently speaking with an architect based in Pittsburgh who was doing work on a project in California, and 4 times a month he was flying out there to see it. And had our technology existed at the time, or had he been aware of it at the time, he could have saved himself multiple days a week of flight time and travel, and just had the data sitting in his inbox that he needed. In the very near future, we're also going to be offering gas detection, multispectral detection, and thermal imaging. We're starting to do test projects with all these now, and just building out our capabilities for it. So by no means are the applications that I just listed kind of the limitation for the future. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of other applications that we're going to start offering as well. But in the short term, it's going to be gas detection, multispectral, and thermal imaging. Now, the most common issues for drones are what I mentioned before, the difficulty of controlling them for a human. It's the distance that they can fly, because their batteries don't last very long, and the batteries are not only difficult in terms of maintaining them, charging them, installing them, and having an able supply, but also actually dangerous. They can explode, and since they generally have to be installed by hand, that's not a great place to be. So right now, if you want to use a drone or a UAV, that's unmanned aerial vehicle, for your company, there's a lot of steps that you have to follow. You have to train your staff in drone safety, in flight and FAA regulations. You have to file for and receive FAA Section 333 approval. You have to source and purchase safety insurance. You have to buy or design the correct drone for your specific needs. You need to select the area that you'd like to scan. You have to charge your batteries, take off, perfectly steer it and manage the altitude. You have to land the drone and swap out and charge batteries consistently until the job's done. Then when it is done, you have to download the data, buy or design the correct software for the data, analyze it, interpret it, act on those insights, properly maintain the units, and buy new drones if anything's damaged, malfunctions, or lost. So as powerful as drones are, as much value as there is in the mapping data that they can give you, it's a massive headache to manage one yourself. And that's why Identified Technologies exists. We have a self-piloting system that will not only fly itself, but handle everything from the batteries being swapped out and charged, to perfectly steering the drone and managing the altitude, to beaming the data up to the cloud for aggregation. So all you have to do is choose your area that you'd like to scan, which only has to be done once. The drone will automatically take off, fly the area, land itself, swap out batteries as needed, beam the data up to the cloud, and all you have to do is log in on your secure portal and see your data, analyze it as needed, and act on the insights. A nice testimonial we just got from one of our customers was John Mackin at Mascaro Construction. He said, "We had outdated topographical maps when we first budgeted for our earthwork on site. Our estimates were 20% off in the wrong direction. We were the ones that had to absorb that risk and error, and I wish we had Identified Technologies data before we started." So it's easy to talk about what your technology can do, but we want to show you a video so you can actually see it in action. So that's choosing the perimeter of the job site you want to cover. Our boomerang drone taking off. Flying the job site, coming back, landing itself in our smart dock. Smart dock takes it, puts it in position, swaps in new batteries while charging the old ones. The boomerang's ready to go and fly back out again. And then you would just sign into your secure portal, where you can access the flight data and see your geo-reference maps to track specific areas over time, and do all the different maps we discussed, whether it's 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional, orthomosaics, or whatever you need. And this picture on the screen just shows, again, you just select the area for the drone flies it, captures the data, lands in the dock, swaps and charges its own batteries, and then securely beams the data to the cloud so you can access it and interact with it. Which brings us to the reason you're all here, our case study. A recent job that we did for Seneca Resources, really to figure out how drone accuracy compares to standard aerial mapping. And we had this verified with Spatial Analytics, which is a third-party firm. And let me just tell you a little bit about the job. So this was in Sargent, McKean County, Pennsylvania. It was a 3D measurement for an impoundment pond. The area that we covered was 40 acres. Our boomerang drone was able to map it in 4 minutes. And as I said, Spatial Analytics with our third-party firm to verify the data and compare what we were able to give our mapping data to that of a standard aerial. So a little background on Seneca Resources. They're a Pittsburgh-based company. It is the exploration and production segment of Houston's Texas-based national fuel and gas company. Seneca explores for, develops, and produces natural gas and oil reserves all over America. They're over a century old. They own approximately 800,000 acres and operate about 3,000 wells in Pennsylvania's shale play. So for this impoundment pond, many of you may be in the oil and gas industry, but I'm sure many of you are in mining and other fields. So just to tell you a little bit about what the point of these is, as companies are tapping into Pennsylvania's vast natural gas reserves, they want to be good corporate citizens, and they want to minimize any impact on the environment. That's a challenge confronting producers all throughout our state. So for that, water impoundment ponds are being used to store the millions of gallons of water used in the hydraulic fracturing process. So the greatest value of these ponds for drilling operations is they allow a natural gas company the ability to run below ground or surface water lines to the well pads, helping to decrease extensive heavy equipment and water truck travel to and from the well sites. This significantly reduces damage to rural roadways and any risk to the environment. So as they're building this impoundment pond, they needed to track the progress. And their goal was to rapidly do an aerial survey of an under construction water impoundment pond, again in McKean County, Pennsylvania. So they used identified technologies. They had a single self-piloting boomerang drone. It was deployed with no human intervention to survey the site in June 2015. And what Spatial Analytics found when they contrast our data with that of standard aerial was that the difference was less, well, it was 0.41%. So it was 99.6% in both, and we were able to get basically sub-centimeter precision compared to a traditional aerial survey that would normally take 1 to 2 months. So at 99.6% of the precision, you're able to get it 60 times faster. The GIP manager at Seneca said, "We've never seen anything like this. My team and I were amazed by the speed of the boomerang, and the accuracy still proved to be more than adequate for our needs. Cutting our survey time down to just a few minutes while maintaining sub-centimeter mapping precision is a game changer." So just to reiterate what the results were, we were able to cover the 40-acre site, volumetrically survey it in 4 minutes, so 10 acres per minute, compared to a standard aerial survey, which normally takes 1 to 2 months. So in addition to performing the standard aerial mapping in 1/60th of the time, our precision still matched the standard aerial survey by 99.6%, was able to give sub-centimeter precision, which was more than accurate enough, and a huge value add in the added speed. Well, people aren't sitting on their hands waiting to get data back. Our CEO, Dick Tsang, said, "We're excited to help Seneca Resources eliminate bottlenecks caused by out-of-date and inaccurate information and reduce the need for survey equipment, hiring, training, services, safety risks, and rework. We're confident that we'll save millions a year as they scale the boomerang mapping system out to more sites." So with that, I'd like to open it up for Q&A. If you can start submitting them, again, they're towards the top right of your screen. Just click the Q&A button and enter them in. Any questions you have about our system or technology, I'd be thrilled to answer. And there can be a little lag, so it may take me a second to see your question. Don't be offended if I don't respond right away. And as people are entering your questions in, I want to let you know about that special limited time offer only for our live attendees. So I know our products, I know them well, but you're going to have an opportunity to speak to Jeffrey Black. That's our senior business consultant. He's worked for HP, the U.S. Army, and SAP. He's done business with drones for many years. He knows our technology inside and out. And there will certainly be questions in the Q&A that I genuinely don't know the answers to. And this is really the man you want to talk to get a great understanding of if our technology is right for your company, what benefits you can expect, and how to move forward. So I invite you to please take a moment now to go to this site. It's black.youcanbookme and sign up for your free 15-minute consultation with Jeffrey Black to find out more. And I will send out an email after this that's going to include a link to that, so you have an opportunity to follow up. And within the next week, I'll also send out a link to both a full white paper on how our speed compares, or I'm sorry, how our accuracy compares to standard aerial, and the write-up done with spatial analytics, so you can see the actual technical paper. So with that, I'm seeing a few Q&A questions start to filter in. Okay, great. So seeing a bunch of great questions here. Let me dive into it. First question: how does the dock upload the data via Wi-Fi or cellular? So in general, we use Wi-Fi at this time, but I know we are working on technology for the future where you could actually use cellular data, and all you need to use cellular now is just have a phone with a hotspot. So basically, even now, it actually isn't a problem. If you have a cell signal but you don't have a Wi-Fi signal, we can just use a phone with a Wi-Fi cell hotspot and then just tap into that. So really, we could accommodate either one. The next question is, can you fly, dock, and recharge in the rain? That's a great question. So what we've seen with our technology is if a human being can realistically be out in it, then we can be out in it. You wouldn't want to try to fly your drone in the middle of a tornado. You don't want to probably do it in the middle of a hurricane, but we have tested it in rain. We've tested it in winds up to 33 miles per hour with no problems whatsoever. So as long as it's light rain, as long as the wind's less than 33 miles per hour, which is a pretty strong wind, you'll still be able to run your analysis with no issues whatsoever. Okay, next question is an interesting one. Does the dock require an external power supply? So right now, it does. In some cases, people are getting around that by using just a generator. That's common on sites. And we're also on talks now about bringing in solar technology. So all you need to do is just have a solar panel. It'll be charging the dock continuously, and be able to power and run the dock off that. That's not something that we're offering to our broad audience right this minute, but it is something that we're likely to have in the future. I would say 99% of the sites that we're on do have external power available though, so it hasn't been a significant problem. So the software that we use, sorry, the question is, what software are you using to process the data? Our whole system is sort of a mix of proprietary software and some more general industry tools. And we've done that partially to just make sure that we can play nice with all the other existing tools out there. So honestly, there is no one piece of software. It's all. I mean, I'm very proud of our team. Almost our entire team are Carnegie Mellon roboticists. They do stuff I can't even believe, and I know that we're set up to integrate and work with all major analysis, engineering, and mapping tools. So whatever you need, we'll be available for that. So the next question is, how easy is it to set the scan area? What would be required for it to work with your equipment? Okay, I'm very happy to say setting the scan area is really probably the easiest part. You're going to see an overhead map similar to maybe what you'd see in Google Maps or something like that. And you just you hit pins and lay the pins down around the perimeter of the area that you want to cover. So if you, let's say, have a surface mine and you want to cover the whole thing, or in the case of the impoundment pond, you may only care about measuring that specific region. You just mark that out, and our system will automatically lay down the lawnmower path so the drone can cover it with maximum efficiency. So you guys are giving me some great questions. I'm gonna just take a minute and see if there's a few more that want to come through. Again, my knowledge really doesn't compare to Jeff's. He knows our stuff forward and backwards. So I would say I'd strongly encourage you to take the opportunity to make an appointment with Jeffrey Black. So again, the black.youcanbookme address that's up on the page. And I guess one thing that would be helpful for me, we can cover any topics that are interesting for you as an audience. So if you have other questions, please include them. But if there's other topics you'd like to see us cover in the Q&A, maybe something specific to mining or landfills, pipelines, specific mapping data, whatever that might be, feel free to send it over. And that might be something that we do as our next in-depth white paper or webinar. We really want to give you the information that's going to be most valuable to you. So just to jump on back. Okay, I'm seeing a few other questions come through, so I'm going to address those now. If you have any more, please please upload them at this time. So one question was, how secure is the cloud that the information is uploaded to? So we use encryption, and it's all hosted on secure servers. We've never had any problems with information leaks. You're going to have your own secure password, and you know, it's just as secure as anything you would store online. You know, with any private information, just like credit card payments for Amazon or any other personal information. So one question was, can you use your software with a Phantom? And unfortunately, most kind of amateur level consumer drones just don't have the robustness that we found we really need for industrial work to be running these jobs day in and day out. They might perform okay for one job or two jobs, but they can't hold up to the day in and day out use. So we do only offer our software with our specific Boomerang drone. The reason we do that is it was really built for this specific purpose, to be very job site tough. It has a very strong but very light thermoplastic composite body. It's incredibly aerodynamic, and we know it can take the abuse that the job sites will dish out. The one question from Joanne Lee was, how much does it cost? Great question. And what we found is people don't want to buy the drones. The reason for that is managing them and maintaining them is a massive headache. And what we do instead is we have a subscription-based system where we handle all the management, all the maintenance, and you just pay by the month. The exact charge is actually going to depend on how many scans you're doing, on how large the area is. Are you scanning a 10-acre site once a month? Are you scanning a 200-acre site every day? And exactly what data do you need back? So that's, again, a perfect question to bring to Jeff, our senior business consultant, and he'll be able to work out what the exact price would be for your exact needs. And again, I'll be sending out an email including a link where if you want to make a free 15-minute consultation call with him, he'd be glad to talk to you. A question from Joe was, have you ever had a fly off where you lose the drone? And the answer is no, but. So no. But we've talked to a lot of people that love the idea of drones, but they bought something went wrong and it flew away, and they were very brokenhearted about it. And you know, they may have spent $50,000 on that drone and they were just out that money completely. What happens with us, with Identified Technologies, if something goes wrong with the drone somehow, if it's damaged, is we're going to overnight FedEx your replacement. You're a top priority. We know that your business needs this data fast. That's the whole point of having it. So if something goes wrong, we cover you. It's not your problem. And then that's part of the deal with the subscription-based model. So I'm glad you asked that. We had a question on ground control points. So we do recommend ground control points. It will make your data even more accurate. And there was a question about LiDAR. We haven't yet done a side-by-side comparison for LiDAR as we have for standard aerial. We have reason to believe that it's also going to be virtually identical, sub-centimeter precision. But we're still actually working on one of those reports right now, just waiting to get back the data from a third party. But it should be virtually identical to LiDAR, given the results that we've seen with standard aerial. And to be honest, most of the people that we've spoken to, our data is way more precise than they need. They may be used to getting 5 million data points, and we're giving them 30 or 50 million. They may need a half foot of accuracy, and we're giving it down to the centimeter. So if anything, I think you're going to find that our results go really above and beyond what most jobs would require. We had a question if we ship internationally. We are working with international partners. We would love to work with you. and just, again, please feel free to set up an appointment with Jeff Black. I'm going to bring that link up one more time so you can see it. So whether you're in the US or international, we'd love to work with you. So we do have a 333 exemption, and we will also help clients get set up regulatorily so they can run drones on their job sites as well. This is sort of expertise, and it's something we're proud to offer. So one question was, are you able to mount other cameras or accessories to the drone? And the answer is possibly. It would just depend exactly what the equipment is. Our drone's pretty light. It's only about 3 pounds. It's tough, but it's not huge. And it would limit the battery life even more if we try to hang something the size of a bowling ball off it. So that's going to be a case-by-case question of what other accessories we can mount on it. There's certainly lots we can add. and there have already been specific customer requests where they needed some specific data from a specific camera, and we were able to implement that. It's likely we'd be able to do it for you as well, but that's again going to be a question you'll want to bring to Jeff at the You Can Book Me site. And that, I think, is all the questions. That's all I can see on my end anyway. So if you have anything else, please, again, set up a meeting with Jeffrey. I think we'll be able to be a big help to you and just talk to see what value and applications drones could have on your job site. It's been a real pleasure speaking with you today. And I know you're all very, very busy, and I appreciate your time. And you know, again, please follow up with Jeff if there's anything else we can do for you. And I hope you all have a wonderful week ahead. So thank you very much for your time.